Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another, I forgot what I'm calling these ones, lockdown lessons. I've had a nice week off, and I'm back with a new week-long series. So this week is going to be looking at the relationship we have with our heads, the inner spaces and the outer movement. So today's lesson is going to be looking more at the outer movement of our head, and the lesson's title is Balancing Your Head. Obviously, that has a kind of a double meaning, a double entendre, being that, in some ways, these periods that we go through lockdown and we're isolated or whatever situation we're going through can be challenging. And in some way, we need to kind of create some neurological balance as we go through this to help us feel better. Interestingly, the other meaning about actually having your head sitting on top of your spine can be very related to that sense. And maybe that will become clearer as we go through the lesson. So good morning. If you can let me know in the comments where you're watching from, what your name is. On StreamYard, I can't always see the person's name. So if you want to just add your name, that would be great. And yeah, hi everyone. Hope you had a really nice weekend. Hope you had a nice week off. Wonder if you did any of the lessons from the previous week, all the eye lessons. There's some very interesting kind of neuroscience studies coming out at the moment around eyes, and a little bit of focus on it. Good morning, Trudy. Nice to see you here. Yeah, so there's quite a lot of focus on it at the moment, and obviously some of that is to do with screen time. But in my own life, I definitely notice the difference in spending a lot of time in the house and having a kind of near field vision, and then when I go out and I have a little bit longer range, it really makes a difference. So yeah, maybe you guys have been noticing those kind of things as well after the week before's lesson. Okay, so today's lesson, we're going to just start. What I'd like you to do is take your right hand, place it at the back of your head, and take your left hand and just hold your jaw. Okay, so there's a kind of comfortable hand position. The back of the hand, the back of the right hand is just holding very gently the circular bit at the back of the head. And what I want you to do is just take your head a little forwards and a little back. A little forwards, kind of guiding it with the two hands and feeling that you can kind of track the movement, keeping a sense of what's happening with the two hands. Good. And then bring your arms down, swap over. Have the left hand there and the right hand holding the chin, and just do the same thing. Very gently taking the head forwards, and it's taking the head forwards from the chin. So it's almost like you're sticking your chin out. And then as you bring your head, it's like you bring your head back, you're pulling your chin slightly in. So it's like a kind of seesaw movement between your two hands. Good. So once you've done that a couple of times, just let it rest, let your arms rest, and close your eyes. And just take a moment to kind of tune in with yourself and feel down into your body. Maybe you can feel your breathing this morning, or whatever time it is for you, where you are. And when you're ready, just bring your hands back, bring both hands back, and just place them at the back of your skull, just very gently. So not holding the circular bit at the back, but just very gently touching And what I want you to do is just stick your chin forwards again a few times. Stick your chin forwards and notice the bit where it folds at the back of the head. Taking your chin forwards and notice where it's folding. Keep your hands very gentle, very soft. Taking your chin forwards and back. So one of the things I want to look at today is this kind of like relationship between the head and the spine. And the head is obviously balancing on top of the spine. It's not often that we're resting our head, maybe at night when we're asleep, but the rest of the day we keep our head upright. So the head's got to be balanced in some way. Good. And you can bring your arms down. And notice if you feel any change in your breathing, just doing that small movement. Okay, and keep your eyes closed and just continue to do that movement where you take your chin slightly forwards. Take your chin slightly forwards and bring it back. And now at the same time, I'd like you to do it with your breathing. So you take your chin a little forwards and back, and just concentrate on your breathing as you do it. It might make more sense initially to breathe in as you take your chin forwards, and breathe out as you take your chin back. And you can, at the back of your head, you can still feel this part of you that's kind of folding as you bring your chin forwards. It's folding slightly. So see if, as you do that, if you can breathe in and breathe out, just very comfortably. And as you breathe out, see if you can take your chin a little backwards towards the kind of towards the neck. So almost like you're tucking your chin in a little, and then come back and bring it forwards. Breathe in, breathe out. And see if you can feel this kind of like this relationship, what's happening between the upper vertebra and the skull. The skull is moving all the time on these upper vertebrae as you take your head forwards and back. Good. Take a little rest. This part of us is a very important part, because obviously the brain and the brainstem travel down through the bottom of the skull to join in with the spinal cord. So this area is kind of like an information highway in some way. So if that area is a little tight or is a little restricted or immobile, in some way that can feel like information isn't freely flowing between your head and your body. So it's quite an important part. So as you sit there now and you don't move, you stop moving, just feel how your head is rested, how your head is centered on your spine. I was kind of, like half wanted to use the image of a giraffe for my image today, just because the giraffe gives that sense like the head is really on top of this long chain and it's resting on top somehow. And as you rest there, can you notice if your head is a little tilted forwards, a little tilted back, a little tilted to one side or the other? Does it feel like it's perfectly poised on top of your spine? Or is there a slight inclination to come forward and look down, a slight inclination to come back and look up, a slight inclination to go over to the left and listen to your left shoulder, or to the right and listen to your right shoulder. Good. Okay, so now bring your right hand back up and place it at the back of your skull. Bring your left hand back and keep it on your chin. And now what I want you to do is take the head forward a few times, like you're guiding it forwards, and you're guiding it backwards. But all the time, I want you to think about this area between the head and the spine. What's happening in that area? And a few times, as you take your chin forwards, begin to look up. Begin to look up. And as you bring your chin back, begin to look down. Good. Bring your arms down, swap over, and do it on the other side. Left hand on the back of the head, right hand holding the chin, taking your chin forwards and backwards. Forwards and backwards. And look up a little. Look up and look down. Good. And now with your hands in this organization, so you've got your left hand at the back of your head and your right hand is holding your chin. What I want you to do is close your right eye so only your left eye is open. Close your right eye so only your left eye is open. And continue to do the movement. And see if you can trace a line down, up and down, along the midline, using your left eye only. Good. Take a little rest. Change over. Have your right hand behind your head, left hand holding the jaw. Close your left eye and do the same thing with the right eye. Trace a line down the midline, letting your head come forwards, your chin come forwards and back. Notice if there's any difference between your two eyes as you do that. Do you get a sense? I mean, when I tried this earlier, it was very clear to me the difference between my left eye and my right eye. It's less clear now that I'm doing it a second time. Okay, and then bring your arms down and take a rest. And again, as you rest, just kind of, take a moment to tune in and feel how your head is resting on top of your spine. Is your head starting to feel lighter, more mobile? Good. And just bring your attention back to your breathing for a moment. Feel the in-breath, the out-breath. Feel where you feel the effect of the breath or the movement of the breath in your body. Can you feel that the movement of the body as it breathes in some way can influence this area of the spine and the intersection with the skull? Good. Okay, and then a few times, just take your head forwards, take your chin out, stick your chin out, look up, and bring your chin back. Tuck your chin in slightly and look down. So you're just going between these two things. Sticking your chin forwards, looking up, bringing your chin back and looking down. Okay. And then we're going to do something a little funky, and we're going to swap that over. Okay. So as you bring your chin forwards, I want you to look down. Yeah, look down at the floor. And as you bring your chin in and tuck your chin in, look up. So looking down, it's hard. Looking down as you bring your chin in or out, and looking up as you tuck your chin in. So this isn't the kind of natural organization that your eyes would follow. So you're kind of playing with the kind of discoordinating the body in order to bring more organization afterwards. So again, just to explain it again, as you take your chin forwards, you're going to look down. As you bring your chin back, you're going to look up. Chin forwards, look down. Chin back, look up. Just try it a few times. Good. Once you've done that a few times, just take a rest. Take a rest. And now think for yourself as you rest and your eyes are closed, what the distance is between your left ear and your left shoulder and your right ear and your right shoulder. Is there an equivalent distance between your left ear and your left shoulder and your right ear and your right shoulder? Good. And then very gently, just take your left ear a little closer to your left shoulder, just a small amount, just so that you kind of come off the midline a little. You come off the midline, you take your ears, if you're kind of like leaning over to listen to your left shoulder. Like, what's your left shoulder telling you today? And then come back to the middle. And just do it a few times. Take your left ear towards your left shoulder and come back. And again. Good. Come back to the middle. And feel in your internal sense of yourself the length between your left shoulder and your left ear and your right shoulder and your right ear, and has it changed just after doing a couple of movements of your head, or does it feel the same? Good. When you're ready, begin to take your right ear a little to the right, towards the right shoulder, as if it's kind of leaning over to listen to that side, and then bringing it back to the middle. Taking the head over. And keep breathing as you do this. Maybe you can feel that you breathe in and breathe out at specific points in the movement. Do it a few more times over to the right. So you're just taking your head a little off center, which is kind of disturbing the balance mechanism slightly, and then you're coming back into balance, coming out of balance and back into balance. Good. Take a rest. And as you rest and you sit there and you feel the length or the distance between your left ear and your left shoulder, and your right ear and your right shoulder, can you then begin to bring some of your attention to the distance between your chest and your sternum? Your chin and your sternum. Good. And at the same time, the back of the head and the back of the sternum, or like the back of the chest, the spine at the back of the chest. So you've kind of got these like if you had a tent, it would be a guide rope. It's kind of like connecting the nose or the chin to the sternum, each ear to each shoulder, and then the back of the head to the back of the spine. And notice if like either one of those relationships feel more kind of closer or tighter to you. Does the left ear feel closer or tighter to the left shoulder? Or does the chin feel tighter or closer to the sternum than the back of the head to the back of the chest? Or does it feel like all of those lines are kind of equivalent in some way? Good. A few times, just bring your hands back, Take your head, take your chin forwards and backwards, and just feel the ease of movement that you have. Taking your head off the center line, sticking the chin a little forwards, and bringing it back, tucking the chin in. And maybe you can feel with your back hand the place in the back of the head where the skull meets the spine, and there's a little fold as you bring your head forwards. And it opens up as you bring your chin back, the same way. Good. Bring that hand down. Just bring over to the other hand, left hand holding the back of the head, right hand holding the chin. Just guide your chin a little forwards and a little backwards. There's something quite nice about having the support of the hands as you move the head, because if you move and you start to feel unstable, it's going to introduce some kind of other bodily sensations. But if you've got a bit of support from your hands, moving the head is actually a relatively comfortable experience. And you can kind of be playful and explore like the relationship between the head and the spine. Good. Okay, bring your left arm down, take a rest. And just feel those kind of four lines again. The left ear to the left shoulder, the right ear to the right shoulder, the nose or the chin to the sternum, and the back of the skull to the middle of the back of the back. Middle of the back. And just feel like, does your head feel like it's kind of resting in the middle of that relationship, so that none of the four lines are dominant? None are taking your head backwards or taking your head forwards, taking your head to the left or taking your head to the right. In some way, it's kind of resting comfortably in the middle. But at the same time, if you wanted to, you could shorten one of those lines. So if you shorten the left ear towards the left shoulder and then come back, or you shorten the head, the back of the head to the back of the back, or just the back, or you shorten the chin coming towards the sternum, or the right ear coming towards the right shoulder. And you've got those kind of four relationships to explore. So you could just in your own time, you could take your right ear to your right shoulder, and then your left ear to your left shoulder. You could take your head, the chin forward so the back of your head comes towards the back. You could take your chin backwards so the chin comes towards the sternum. Just exploring those kind of 4 relationships that the head has. Good. When you've done it a couple of times, just come to rest in the middle. Just find a nice resting place where the head feels like it's not making any effort. If you think back to how we organized ourselves as babies, our heads were very big back then in comparison with our bodies, and our muscles weren't particularly well organized to deal with it. So we had a lot of trial and error in terms of lifting our head away from the ground. Now, as adults, we're very skillful in the way that we hold our heads. Like we do it very naturally, but we may have picked up habits in the course of our lifetime that mean we hold it in specific ways. Like, so for example, if I've spent a lot of time sitting on my sofa, maybe this line between my chin and my sternum is a bit closer or smaller than this one between the back of my head and my back. Or maybe if I've spent a lot of time speaking on the phone on one side, I've got this relationship. So you just feel into yourself and like feel where your tendency is and where you feel balanced. Okay, so just stay in the middle, keep your eyes closed, and just breathe for a moment in the middle of those relationships. Giving your nervous system a chance to kind of like take in that moment of being in that sort of centralized plane. So you're neither to the left, neither to the right, neither forwards, not backwards. And in some way your head is resting very gently, very nicely on top of your spine. Almost like the feeling of the head being that it's floating at the top of your body. Great. Okay, so that was Monday's lesson. I hope that's interesting for people. Again, I think it's an interesting subject in terms of the information flow between the brain and the body, this area of the neck and specifically at the base of the skull. So I hope that you found that interesting. Tomorrow's lesson is going to be exploring some of the inner spaces of the head, which is a favorite lesson of mine. So I hope you guys enjoy that one as well. Again, that will be on at 11 o'clock in the morning. That's UK time. So if you're not able to watch it live, you can catch it as a replay, either in my Facebook community group or on YouTube. There are links to both in the description, I believe. There is also a link to my Facebook page, which is facebook.com/thoughtful movements. If you'd like to share this video with anyone else, you think it might be useful to someone else, you can go to my Facebook page and you can click share on the video and send it out to whoever you want to. There's also a link to my PayPal account if you might like to contribute or make a small donation to the lessons. I'm obviously very appreciative. So thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. I'd love to hear your comments about the lesson in the chat. And I will see you back here tomorrow. All right, take care. Bye.